The message came on a Tuesday. All across Earth, screens flickered with the same strange symbols. Radio telescopes that had listened to empty space for decades suddenly hummed with activity. Something was coming. Captain Alan Foster stood on the bridge of the EDF Guardian, Earth's newest and most advanced spaceship. His dark blue uniform was crisp, his expression serious. Earth had built only 5 ships like this one, mainly for research and defense. They had never expected to use them to meet aliens. "Signal confirmed, Captain," said Lieutenant Megan Clark. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "The alien ship will enter our solar system in 6 hours." Alan nodded. "Keep all weapons offline. This is a peaceful mission." The world leaders had agreed. Humanity would put its best foot forward. The alien ship appeared to be in distress. Its transmissions contained what linguists believed were calls for help. 6 hours later, the Guardian waited at the edge of the solar system. The alien vessel appeared like a silver teardrop, beautiful despite the visible damage to its hull. It was twice the size of the Guardian, but moved slowly, limping through space. "Open communications," Alan ordered. The main screen showed a tall, slender being with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Its large eyes blinked slowly. "We thank you for your welcome," the alien said in surprisingly good English. "We are the Trillions. We seek sanctuary. This is Captain Alan Foster of Earth. We offer assistance. What happened to your ship?" The alien's expression darkened. "The Zenorian Empire. They have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Any who resist are destroyed. We tried to protect our home. We failed." Megan moved closer to Alan. "Captain, our sensors detect multiple objects entering the solar system." Before Alan could respond, the alien spoke urgently. "They have followed us. You must hide. The Zenorians will show no mercy." The screen suddenly filled with ships, dozens of them, shaped like arrowheads, their black surfaces absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They were beautiful and terrifying. "Captain," Megan whispered, "we're receiving a data transmission from the Trillion ship." The lead Zenorian ship fired. A beam of red light struck the Trillion vessel, cutting it in half. There was no explosion, just silent destruction as the ship broke apart. Alan watched in horror. "Get us out of here. Now." The Guardian turned and accelerated toward Earth, but 3 Zenorian ships followed. A voice filled the bridge, deep and cold. "Humans of Earth, this is High Commander Krell of the Zenorian Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Resistance will result in extinction." Back on Earth, Alan stood before the United Nations Security Council, his hand shaking slightly as he delivered his report. "They've given us 1 Earth year to prepare for integration," he concluded. "After that, they'll begin colonization. If we resist, they'll destroy us." The room erupted in panicked voices until General Frank Harris slammed his hand on the table. "What about our nuclear weapons? Our missiles? Their technology is thousands of years beyond ours." Alan replied. "It would be like throwing rocks at a tank." In the back of the room, Lieutenant Megan Clark sat quietly, a small data device in her hand. While everyone had watched the Trillion ship's destruction, she had been downloading their final transmission. "Captain," she said after the meeting, showing him the device, "the Trillions didn't just call for help. They sent us something." Alan looked at the schematics on the small screen. Designs for engines, weapons, and shields far beyond Earth's technology. "Their final gift," Megan said softly. Alan's expression hardened. 1 year, they said. 1 year before they come to take our world. He looked up at the night sky, where Zenorian ships now patrolled, watching Earth. "Then we have 1 year to get ready." 5 years had passed since the Zenorians gave Earth their ultimatum. On the surface, humans appeared to accept their fate. Zenorian ships landed in major cities. Zenorian officials established offices in government buildings. Earth seemed to be preparing for integration. High Commander Krell stood at the window of his office in what was once the United Nations building in New York. His tall, slender form cast a long shadow across the floor. He watched humans walk below, going about their daily business. "Such a docile species," he said to his assistant. "I expected more resistance." Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Susan Reed had a different view. She stood on a platform overlooking the largest of Earth's hidden shipyards. The cavern stretched for miles, carved into the ocean floor. Hundreds of ships in various stages of construction filled the space. Workers moved like ants around the vessels, welding, testing, and installing systems. "How many completed?" Susan asked. The man beside her, Chief Engineer Paul Martinez, checked his tablet. 212, Admiral. Another 88 will be ready within 3 months. Susan nodded. The Trillion technology had been a miracle. It had taken 2 years just to understand it, and another 3 to adapt it for human use. Now they had ships with engines, weapons, and shields that could match Xenorian technology. "And the Xenorians suspect nothing?" she asked. Paul shook his head. "Our power consumption is masked by the fake integration projects on the surface. As far as they know, we're building landing pads and habitation zones for their colonists." On the other side of the world, Dr. Laura Wilson worked in a secret lab beneath the Sahara Desert. She was a xenobiologist, one of the few humans allowed to study Xenorian physiology. The aliens thought she was helping prepare medical facilities for their arrival. They didn't know she was looking for weaknesses. Laura peered through a microscope at a sample of Xenorian tissue. It had taken years to collect enough samples without raising suspicion. "Found something?" asked her assistant. Laura straightened up, her eyes bright with discovery. "Yes, their cellular structure breaks down when exposed to a specific frequency of sound. It doesn't harm them permanently, but it causes temporary paralysis." "A non-lethal weapon," her assistant said. Laura nodded. "Exactly. Something we can use without destroying them." That evening in Washington, D.C., Captain Alan Foster attended a dinner hosted by the Xenorians. He wore the new Earth integration uniform, designed by the Xenorians as a symbol of Earth's submission. His face showed no emotion as he listened to Xenorian officials discuss colonization plans. High Commander Krell approached him, holding a glass of water. Xenorians didn't drink alcohol. "Captain Foster," Krell said, "you've been most helpful in these 5 years. Your cooperation will be noted in Imperial records." Ellen forced a smile. "Thank you, High Commander. We've learned much from your people." "Your resource consumption has been higher than expected," Krell said, his large eyes narrowing. "The integration preparations shouldn't require so much raw material." Alan's heart raced, but his expression remained calm. Earth's infrastructure needed significant upgrades to meet Imperial standards. "We want to be worthy of joining the Empire." Krell seemed satisfied with the answer and moved on to speak with other officials. Alan breathed a silent sigh of relief. The deception needed to hold for just a few more months. Later that night, Alan met with Susan, Paul, and Laura in a small apartment with special shielding that blocked Xenorian surveillance. "They're getting suspicious," Alan said. "How soon can we be ready?" Susan's face was grim but determined. 3 months, maybe less. "Then that's our timeline," Alan said. "In 3 months, humanity shows its true face to the Xenorian Empire." Commander Jack Nelson stood in the control room of the EDF Defiance, the first ship built with the Trillion technology. It was smaller than the other ships in Earth's secret fleet, designed for speed and stealth rather than power. The ship was hidden in an underwater cave off the coast of Australia, away from Xenorian sensors. "All systems ready, Commander," said his pilot, Lieutenant Sam Baker. Jack nodded. "Remember, this is just a test run. We get in, scan the patrol ship, and get out. No engagement unless absolutely necessary." The crew of 12 had trained for months in simulators, but this would be their first real mission. They needed to know if the Trillion stealth technology actually worked against Xenorian sensors. The cave ceiling opened, revealing the ocean above. Water didn't pour in thanks to an energy field that held it back. The Defiance rose slowly through the opening and into the dark waters of the Pacific. "Stealth systems active," said the ship's engineer, Ben Lewis. "Power signature masked." Once they cleared the water, the Defiance accelerated upward, breaking through Earth's atmosphere in minutes. The ship moved smoothly, nothing like the rough rocket launches of just 5 years ago. "Xenorian patrol ship detected," Sam announced, holding standard orbit over Australia. "They haven't seen us yet." Jack leaned forward in his chair. "Move us into position. Begin detailed scans." The Defiance drifted closer to the arrow-shaped Xenorian vessel, which was 4 times its size. Their sensors gathered data on the ship's design, weapons, and defenses. "This is working better than expected," Jack said quietly. Then an alarm sounded. Ben's face went pale. "Sir, our stealth field is failing. They're going to detect us in 30 seconds. Get us out of here," Jack ordered. Before they could turn, the Xenorian ship fired a warning shot that passed just in front of the Defiance. "They're hailing us," said Communications Officer Grace Miller. Jack took a deep breath. "We can't run now. Open a channel." The screen showed a Xenorian officer, his dark eyes wide with surprise. "Unidentified vessel, you are in violation of Imperial law. This sector is restricted to authorized Xenorian ships only." Jack straightened his shoulders. "This is Commander Jack Nelson of Earth. We're conducting a training exercise with new technology." The Xenorian's eyes narrowed. "No such exercises were approved. Your ship design is not in our registry. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Jack cut the transmission and turned to his crew. "We can't let them board. They'll discover everything." "We have weapons," Sam suggested. Jack shook his head. "If we attack, we start a war before we're ready." He thought for a moment. "Ben, can you cause a controlled overload in our engines? Something that looks dangerous but won't actually damage us." Ben nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. I can make it look like we're about to explode." "Do it," Jack ordered. "Grace, send them a distress signal. Tell them we're having a catastrophic system failure." The crew worked quickly. The ship's engines began to glow brightly, venting plasma in a spectacular but carefully controlled display. Grace opened the channel again. "Xenorian vessel, we have an emergency. Our experimental drive is overloading. We need to return to Earth immediately. Please clear the area for your safety." The Xenorian officer looked alarmed. "Return to your base. This incident will be reported to High Command." The Defiance turned and sped back toward Earth, trailing artificial radiation signatures that masked their true capabilities. Back at the underwater base, Admiral Susan Reed listened to Jack's report with a grim expression. "We got the scan data," Jack concluded, "but they know something's wrong now. They saw our ship." Susan nodded. "Then we've lost the element of complete surprise." "How much did they see?" "Not enough to know what we're really capable of," Jack said, "but enough to make them suspicious." Susan walked to the wall display, showing the status of Earth's fleet. "Then we need to accelerate our timeline. They'll be sending more ships to investigate." She turned to her communications officer. "Send the alert to all construction sites. Operation First Strike begins now." High Commander Krell stormed into the Earth monitoring station that the Xenorians had established in what was once the Pentagon. His aide followed close behind, visibly nervous. "Show me this human ship again," Krell demanded. The screen displayed the blurry image of the Defiance, captured before it had returned to Earth. "This vessel does not match any Earth design we approved," Krell said. "Search all Earth facilities immediately. I want to know what they're hiding." Before his orders could be carried out, alarms began to sound throughout the station. The Xenorian at the monitoring desk looked up in shock. "High Commander, we're detecting massive energy surges all over the planet. In the oceans, underground." Krell moved to the window just in time to see the Atlantic Ocean begin to churn. Something enormous was rising from the depths. Captain Eric Johnson stood on the bridge of the EDF Reckoning, Earth's largest warship. Water cascaded off its massive hull as it broke the surface of the Atlantic Ocean, just off the coast of Florida. Similar scenes were happening across the globe as humanity's hidden fleet revealed itself. "All systems online," reported his second-in-command, Linda Peterson. 300 ships reporting ready, Captain. Eric nodded, his face solemn. For 5 years they had prepared in secret, building a fleet that could stand against the Xenorian Empire. Now there was no turning back. "Open a channel to Admiral Reed," he ordered. Susan Reed's face appeared on the main screen. She was aboard the EDF Avenger, rising from the Pacific. "Captain Johnson, commence Operation Unveiling," she said. "Get your battle group to orbit and establish defensive positions. The Xenorians will respond quickly." Eric turned to his crew. "You heard the Admiral. Let's show them what humanity can do." The Reckoning's engines ignited with blue fire as it ascended toward space. Across Earth, 300 warships rose into the sky, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. In Washington, D.C., the Xenorian ambassador watched in horror as the ships appeared. He rushed to contact High Commander Krell, but the human guards who had seemed so compliant for years now blocked his path. "I need to speak to High Commander Krell immediately," the ambassador demanded. Alan Foster stepped forward, removing the Xenorian integration uniform he had worn for so long. Underneath he wore the dark blue of Earth's Defense Force. "I'm afraid the High Commander is busy," Alan said. "We've prepared a shuttle to take you safely back to your fleet. Earth is reclaiming its independence today." High Commander Krell barely escaped Earth, his personal shuttle racing toward the Xenorian ships in orbit. His face was twisted with rage as he sent an emergency signal to the Empire. "Earth has betrayed us. They have built warships in secret, hundreds of them. Send the Imperial fleet immediately." In space, Captain Johnson watched as the 5 battle groups of Earth's fleet moved into formation. Each group had 60 ships of various sizes and capabilities, from small fast fighters to massive cruisers like the Reckoning. Xenorian ships approaching from the lunar monitoring station, Linda reported. 20 vessels. Eric remained calm. "Deploy fighters. Protect the civilians on the ground at all costs." The first battle was brief but fierce. The Xenorian ships had never faced an equal opponent, and they were unprepared for Earth vessels that could match their speed and firepower. Within an hour, the Xenorian force retreated, leaving 7 of their ships disabled. Admiral Reed called a meeting of all ship captains via secure channel. "This is just the beginning," she said, her image appearing on bridges across the fleet. "The Xenorians will return with a much larger force. We need to split up as planned." She pulled up a map of nearby star systems. Battle Group 1 will remain to defend Earth. The rest will spread out according to Operation Scattered Thunder. We take the fight to their territory before they can organize a full response. Captain Johnson looked at his crew, determination on every face. Battle Group 3, prepare for light speed. Our destination is the Xenorian communication hub at Proxima Centauri. Earth's fleet dispersed across the stars, carrying humanity's defiance to the heart of the empire that had fought to conquer them. Emperor Zexalar of the Xenorian Empire sat on his crystal throne in the Imperial Palace. His skin was darker blue than other Xenorians, a sign of his pure bloodline. His 4 arms gripped the armrests tightly as he watched the holographic display showing Earth's ships attacking Xenorian outposts across multiple star systems. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "These humans were primitives just years ago." High Commander Krell knelt before the throne, his head bowed. "They deceived us, Emperor. They used the technology from the trillion refugees. We underestimated them." Emperor Zexlar stood, his tall form casting a shadow over Krell. "Gather the Imperial Grand Fleet. Every warship we have. I want Earth reduced to ash." Across the galaxy, 10,000 Xenorian warships began to mobilize. The Empire had never faced a serious challenge in thousands of years. Now they prepared for war. Captain Andrea Williams piloted her small stealth ship through the debris field surrounding the Xenorian communication hub. Battle Group 2 had attacked the station 2 days earlier, creating the perfect cover for her mission. Her crew of 6 specialists remained silent as they approached the damaged but still functioning hub. "Remember," Andrea said quietly, "we only have 30 minutes to plant the device and get out before the next patrol arrives." Her tech specialist, Greg Peters, nodded. "The virus will spread through their entire communication network. They won't be able to coordinate their fleet movements for at least a week." Andrea guided the ship to a docking port that had been damaged in the battle. They attached in silence and cut through the hull. Inside the hub, the team moved quickly through empty corridors. Most of the Xenorian crew had evacuated after the attack. Only essential personnel remained, and they were focused on repairs. Greg placed small devices at key junction points in the computer network. Each contained a virus designed to corrupt the Xenorians' fleet coordination systems. "Last one in place," Greg whispered into his comm. "Let's go." They returned to their ship and detached from the hub just as alarms began to sound. Andrea pushed the engines to maximum as they fled into the debris field. "Mission accomplished," she reported to Admiral Reed once they were safely away. "The Imperial fleet will be flying blind." Back on Earth, the leaders of humanity gathered in the former United Nations building. Admiral Reed's hologram stood in the center of the room, reporting on the war's progress. "Our hit-and-run tactics are working," she said. "We're too spread out for them to counter effectively. But the Empire is mobilizing its grand fleet. We're going to face much stronger resistance soon." A representative from India stood up. "What about the other species under Xenorian rule? Could they be our allies?" Admiral Reed nodded. "We've made contact with several. The Archelians, in particular, have shown interest in working with us. They're an ancient species with advanced technology. The Xenorians conquered them 3,000 years ago. On the Archelian homeworld, a secret meeting took place deep underground. The Archelians were tall, slender beings with gray skin and 6 fingers on each hand. Their eyes were large and completely black. "These humans fight the Empire openly," said the Archelian leader. "Something no species has dared in millennia." "But can they win?" asked another Archelian. "Alone, no. But they are not fighting for conquest. Their communications speak only of freedom. Perhaps they are the allies we have waited for." In the Xenorian Imperial Palace, Emperor Zexlar faced something new: questions from his own council. "The humans claim they only wish to free the subjected species," said one council member. "Perhaps negotiations." "Silence," Zexlar shouted. "The Empire does not negotiate with lesser beings. Our propaganda must show these humans as savage destroyers who will kill all Xenorians. No one must know their true intentions." But across the galaxy, the Emperor's lies were already beginning to unravel. On a dozen worlds, subjected species watched as human ships attacked Xenorian military targets but avoided civilian areas. They began to whisper among themselves. Perhaps, after 10,000 years, the Empire's time had finally come to an end. 6 months into the war, the stars around Proxima Centauri blazed with weapons fire. Commander Kevin Taylor's squadron of 12 Earth ships faced a Xenorian battle group of over 100 vessels. On paper, it was an impossible fight, but humanity had learned to think differently. "Maintain Formation Delta," Kevin ordered from the bridge of the EDF Challenger. "Draw them into the asteroid field." His ships moved in perfect coordination, darting between the massive rocks that filled this region of space. The Xenorian ships followed, their larger size making them less maneuverable. "They're in position," reported his tactical officer, Olivia Grant. "Ready to spring the trap." Kevin nodded. "Execute pattern sunburst." Earth's ships suddenly scattered in 12 different directions. The Xenorians, confused by the maneuver, split their forces to pursue. It was exactly what Kevin wanted. "Activate the sonic disruptors," he ordered. Hidden devices planted throughout the asteroid field weeks earlier came to life. They emitted the special frequency Dr. Laura Wilson had discovered, the one that affected Xenorian biology. The sound couldn't travel through space, but it did travel through the comm systems of the Xenorian ships. On the enemy vessels, Xenorian crews suddenly collapsed, their muscles temporarily paralyzed by the sound. Their ships drifted, powerless to defend themselves. "Target their engines and weapons only," Kevin said. "Minimal casualties." Earth's ships swooped in, disabling the Xenorian vessels without destroying them. In 20 minutes, it was over. One of the Empire's largest battle groups had been defeated by just 12 human ships. Kevin opened a channel to all the disabled Xenorian vessels. "This is Commander Kevin Taylor of Earth. Your crews will recover within an hour. We have left your life support systems intact. Return to your homeworld with this message. We do not seek to destroy your people, only to end your Empire's tyranny." On Earth, Dr. Laura Wilson watched the footage of the battle with satisfaction. Her sonic disruptor had worked perfectly. "The beauty of it," she told Admiral Reed, "is that it proves our intentions. If we wanted to destroy them, we could have killed those crews while they were paralyzed." Admiral Reed nodded. "The word is spreading. We've received messages from 27 subjected species offering to join our cause." In a secret meeting on the Arkelian homeworld, representatives from Earth met with leaders of 12 alien species. Captain Alan Foster served as humanity's ambassador. "For 10,000 years, you've lived under Xenorian rule," Alan said. "We offer you a different future. Not human rule replacing Xenorian rule, but a galaxy where all species govern together." The Arkelian leader, a female named Thela, stepped forward. "The Empire has told its people that humans come to destroy everything. Yet we see you disable ships without destroying them. We see you avoid civilian targets." Alan nodded. "The only destruction we seek is of the system that oppresses you, the Empire itself, not its people." Thela turned to the other representatives. "The Arkelians will join the humans. We have hidden technology in ships that the Empire never found. Now is the time to use them." One by one, the other species pledged their support. The rebellion was growing. On the Xenorian homeworld, Emperor Xexalar faced the first public protests in the Empire's history. Citizens gathered outside the Imperial Palace, demanding to know the truth about the human intentions. "The palace guards are loyal," his security chief assured him. "But there is unrest in the outer provinces. Stories of human mercy have spread." Xexalar's face darkened with rage. "Then we must act decisively. Recall all ships to the homeworld. We will gather our forces for one massive strike against Earth. When their homeworld burns, no one will question our power again." As Imperial ships began to pull back from across the galaxy, Admiral Reed recognized the pattern. "They're consolidating for a major attack," she told Earth's leaders. "It's time for the final phase of our plan." Across the stars, Earth's battle groups changed course. After months of scattered fighting, humanity's fleet was coming together again. But they weren't heading to Earth to defend it. They were heading straight for the heart of the Xenorian Empire. The combined fleet of Earth and its alien allies emerged from light speed at the edge of the Xenorian home system. 500 human ships flew alongside 300 vessels from other liberated worlds. Leading them was the EDF Reckoning, with Captain Eric Johnson on the bridge and Admiral Susan Reed commanding the entire operation. "All ships report ready," Eric said. "The Xenorians have detected us." Susan stood at the main viewport, looking at the blue-green Xenorian homeworld in the distance. Between their fleet and the planet floated the legendary cosmic barrier, a massive defensive ring with 5,000 Guardian ships docked to it. "Open all communication channels," Susan ordered. "Not just military frequencies, civilian bands too. I want every Xenorian to hear this." The communications officer nodded. "Ready, Admiral." Susan took a deep breath. "People of the Xenorian Empire, I am Admiral Susan Reed of Earth. Your leaders have told you we come to destroy your civilization. That is a lie. Across the Zenorian homeworld, in homes and public spaces, her voice was heard. Her image appeared on screens everywhere as she continued. We do not fight against the Zenorian people. We fight against an empire that has enslaved dozens of species for thousands of years. Look at our actions, not your emperor's words. We disable ships without destroying them. We avoid civilian targets. We offer mercy to your soldiers. On the Zenorian homeworld, citizens gathered around screens. Some called it human trickery, but many listened. Today we come not for destruction, but for liberation. The only thing we seek to destroy is the system of oppression that has ruled this galaxy for too long. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zexler screamed in rage. Cut off that transmission. Launch all ships. Destroy them. The cosmic barrier lit up as its weapons powered on. The 5,000 Guardian ships began to undock, moving to attack formation. Back on the Reckoning, Susan received an unexpected message from the planet. The sender identified themselves as General Mrath, commander of the Zenorian Home Defense Force. Admiral Reed, the Zenorian said, his face tense. Many of us have questioned the Emperor's rule since you began this war. Your actions have shown honor, but I must ask directly, if we were to change our leadership, what would Earth demand of Zenoria? Susan understood what was happening. We would ask only that all subjected worlds be freed, and that Zenoria join us as equals in building a new galactic community. No reparations, no occupation, no revenge. General Mrath's eyes widened slightly. Wait for my signal before approaching further. For 2 hours, the combined fleet held position. Then reports came in of fighting on the Zenorian homeworld. The palace was under attack, not from outside forces, but from within. Captain Alan Foster, aboard a diplomatic vessel at the edge of the fleet, monitored the Zenorian news broadcasts. It's a coup, he reported to Admiral Reed. The military has turned against the Emperor. 3 more hours passed in tense waiting. Then the cosmic barrier powered down. The Guardian ships formed into neat rows and remained still. General Mrath's face appeared on the main screen of the Reckoning. Behind him stood other Zenorian officials. Admiral Reed, Emperor Zexlar has been removed from power. The Imperial Council has been dissolved. We request a meeting to discuss peace terms. A cheer went up across the human fleet. After months of fighting, it was almost over. I will come to the surface with a small delegation, Susan replied. Captain Foster will serve as our diplomat. As preparations began for the historic meeting, Captain Johnson approached Admiral Reed privately. Do you think it will last? He asked. Peace with the Zenorians. Susan watched as Arkelian ships moved alongside Zenorian vessels without hostility for the first time in 3,000 years. It won't be easy, she said. But look out there. Species that were enemies yesterday are talking today. That's worth fighting for. On the planet below, Zenorian citizens looked up at the night sky, seeing the lights of hundreds of ships from dozens of worlds. Many felt fear, but others felt something new, hope for a different future. 1 year later, the sky above Earth filled with ships from across the galaxy. They came not as invaders but as guests, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight as they entered orbit. Today marked the first anniversary of the Galactic Concordat, the peace agreement that had transformed the former Zenorian Empire into a federation of equal worlds. Admiral Susan Reed stood in the Grand Hall of the new Galactic Council headquarters, built in Geneva where the old United Nations building once stood. The room buzzed with conversation as representatives from 50 species mingled freely. Some had been enemies for thousands of years. Now they stood together, planning a shared future. Quite a change from last year, said Captain Eric Johnson, now promoted to Admiral of Earth's Defense Fleet. Susan nodded. Hard to believe we were at war then. Across the room, Captain Alan Foster, now Earth's chief diplomat, welcomed a tall Zenorian in formal blue robes. It was Chancellor Mrath, formerly General Mrath, now the elected leader of the Zenorian people. Chancellor, welcome to Earth, Alan said, extending his hand. Mrath took it carefully with one of his 4 hands. "Thank you, Captain Foster. Your world is beautiful. Different from Zenoria, but beautiful in its own way. Many of us hope to visit Zenoria soon," Alan replied, "now that travel between our worlds is open." Mrath looked around the room at the diverse gathering. The former emperor told us humans came for complete destruction. In a way, he was right. Alan raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "You destroyed the Empire," Mrath said. "Just not in the way he meant. You destroyed a system of control that had lasted 10,000 years. You freed not just the subjected species, but us Zenorians as well. Many of us never approved of the Empire's methods, but we had no power to change things." The ceremony began as representatives took their seats. Dr. Laura Wilson was there, along with Paul Martinez, Jack Nelson, and all the others who had helped Earth survive and win the war. At the center of the hall stood a simple stone table where the Galactic Concordat had been signed. Susan Reed addressed the gathering. 1 year ago, ships from Earth arrived at the Zenorian homeworld. Our fleet came not for conquest, but to end a system that had oppressed countless beings for millennia. Today we celebrate not a victory of one species over another, but a victory for all of us, the birth of a new way of existence. She gestured to Chancellor Mrath, who joined her at the podium. "For 10,000 years, Zenorians ruled through force," Mrath said. "We taught our children that other species needed our guidance. We were wrong. This past year has taught us that we are stronger together, as equals than we ever were as rulers and subjects." Outside the hall, people gathered in the streets to watch on large screens. Human children played with young Archelians and Trillians who had come with their parents to the celebration. Schools across Earth now taught the languages and customs of other worlds. Later that evening, Susan stood with Eric on a balcony overlooking Lake Geneva. Ships from dozens of worlds lit up the night sky above them. "Do you ever think about how differently this could have ended?" Eric asked. "If we had sought revenge instead of freedom?" Susan watched a Zenorian shuttle descend gracefully toward the landing area. "We could have destroyed their world when we had the chance. Many wanted to, after what the Empire did to Earth and other planets. What made us different?" Eric wondered. Susan thought for a moment. "The title of our operation. It was called Complete Destruction, but the full name was Complete Destruction of Tyranny, not people. We always knew the difference." As stars filled the sky, ships from 50 worlds flew in formation above Earth. Among them were human vessels and Zenorian cruisers, once enemies, now partners in guarding the peace they had all fought to create. Far below, in a museum in Geneva, a simple plaque marked the spot where the first Trillian refugee ship had been destroyed by the Empire 6 years ago. The plaque bore a simple message: here began the end of an empire and the birth of a community.